Hello and welcome to Hike and Draw. Today we're going to learn how to draw a mountain together in 7 minutes or less. This is part of a doodle series that I'm going to be doing. I call it a doodle series because it's not something that is meant to be as labor intensive as our regular nature drawing workshops. In fact, this is something that's very approachable, very meditative, and it's even something you can do while you're on the phone or you're on the train, just waiting around. In case you don't know me, my name is James Sisti. I'm a professional artist and wilderness guide, and today I have the privilege of being your instructor. So here are the supplies we're going to be using today. I have a regular pencil, a pencil sharpener, and a special kneaded eraser. This is a very mushy eraser, and I really like it because it's very kind to the paper. So you can erase and erase and erase. It's not going to leave any pink residue, and it's not going to tear up your page. I've also taken the liberty of drawing a circle on the page, and this is the space in which we're going to be working in for today's lesson. And I also have a little kitchen timer with 7 minutes on the clock. So let's go ahead and get started. What I'm going to say is that you don't need to start with a perfect circle. If you're really detailed oriented like me, you could use a bowl or a upside down coffee mug and just trace around it. But for this, I used a drafting compass. So we're just going to pull from our imagination. We're not using a drawing reference here. So first things first, let's go ahead and start with our mountain here. I'm going to go ahead and say that the base of the mountain is located in the center of the circle, right? So let's just go ahead and start by drawing a little horizontal line very, very lightly here. And what we're also going to do is consider how tall the mountain is, right? So let's go ahead and say that this little triangle right there is a peak of the mountain. And you know what? I'm also going to use a series of dots to just plan out where my mountain peak is going to be. Let's say this is a double top or a double peak mountain. We have a nice little saddle in between the two different peaks here. Okay. And maybe it just rises up a little col off to the side here. That's what they call a smaller false summit, is a col. Now, I also think it would be pretty cool to add a little bit of water to our scene. So what I'm going to do is from the base of the mountain, I'm going to basically create a reflection, okay? And I'm going to be looking at this shape and doing the reverse of it, kind of like a mirror image, okay? And that way we're going to have a nice reflection in the lake here. And I'm still drawing with dots because honestly, it's the simplest form of mark making. Anybody can draw a dot. It's not intimidating at all. And you can already start to see where this is going. So I'm going to go ahead and connect these dots just like this. You don't have to do it verbatim. I always like to teach that you can actively edit your drawing as you go. Okay, and this is a very basic geometric shape, so it doesn't have to be too static. Now for the reflection, I'm just going to go ahead and just a little bit with less pressure on the paper, proceed to draw this in. Okay, so it's just like a mirror reflection. Okay, so as you travel down to the base of the mountain, you're going to run into some trees. So what I suggest is consider what the shoreline would feel like if we had some nice tall spruce trees, just like this. And if you've ever seen an earthquake or a heart rate monitor, there's this sort of squiggle like this, right? Very bumpy, very loose, just like that. So we're going to use this Richter scale line to kind of suggest the tops of trees here. Okay, nice and easy. And we'll worry about the reflection in a little bit because I think it would be pretty nice to have at the shoreline here, maybe show where some of these trees are growing from. It might be cool to have some smaller trees in the front. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is just putting in some foliage and some little scrub bushes just like that. And now we can go ahead and have our reflection repeat on itself like this. Nice and easy. Okay. And for the top of the mountain, maybe it'd be pretty cool to have the sun just kind of hanging out here like this. Okay. So now that we have that in place, oh, don't forget the reflection here. What we could do now is add a little bit of character to these mountains. It's pretty common to see snow on the peaks, and it also is common to see snow build up in the little valleys of these mountains here, almost like a little avalanche chute. So let's go ahead and frost the tops of these mountains here, just like this, just like that. And if there's a little valley in there, maybe we can add some snow left over from the winter. Okay. So what I'm going to say next is let's go ahead and just very, very lightly shade in our trees so that we could have some contrast here. Very nice and loose. And you're sort of drawing an entire forest as one individual unit. You're not so much caught up in the individual trees as you are as the forest as a unified body, right? So make your way across, nice and light and loose. And for all those little areas that look messy, we can clean those up in a second. Okay. And I like to leave a little bit of space down there too. Now, where the shore meets the land, I'm going to show you a little trick. All you have to do is reinforce it with a darker line. And then as you get a little bit further away from the shore here, just break up that line into little dashes like this. Okay, maybe you can go ahead and add a little splash like that. Maybe there was a fish that jumped out. Maybe if you want, you could also add some rocks like this. Okay, just go ahead and add some ripples around the rock there. And if you want, you could also use your pencil to add a little bit of line. Craft those nice reflections just like that. Okay. And same thing here. We're just going to quickly shade in these little trees down here. Okay. And we have about a minute left. So you can just see how far you can run with your imagination in just a very, very short amount of time. There we go. And this is just a nice little foundation for if you want to get involved in more serious projects or here, let's add a little bird up there too. Maybe a couple of them. Okay. And just to clean up the tops of these trees a little bit, you can go in there and find those little spots that might look a little bit messy. Just like that. Okay. And just add a little bit of detail to that rock face. So there you have it, a 7-minute mountainscape doodle. I hope you enjoyed this experience. I've listed a couple of ways for you to keep building on your practice, some ways to help you stay inspired. Obviously, if you're interested in nature, spend more time hiking or out in your backyard. I suggest you doodle things that interest you the most. It could be anything. Literally, your imagination is the limit. And one thing I think is really fun to do is to keep all these little doodles in one place. So I have a nature journal. I like to go hiking and spend a little bit of time doodling plants and animals and birds and things like that. Over the course of a year, you can really be surprised at not only your progress, but the amount of speed and dexterity that you can build up drawing from actual life. I also suggest that if you found this to be very helpful, that you teach somebody how to draw as well. It puts you in the position not only to hone the skills that you're trying to develop, but also to pass them on to people in a very creative and meaningful way. Finally, I suggest joining an online community or group and sharing your doodles there. So thank you very much for participating in this 7-minute doodle exercise. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. My email is james@hikeanddraw.nyc. That's james@hikeanddraw.nyc. I'd love to see your doodles. And hey, if you have any questions or you have any comments or anything like that, feel free to send me those as well. Thank you very much and have a great day.